What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is December 30th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are, and I hope you're excited and looking forward to the new year, which is right around the corner. Today, I want to spend some time here today to talk a little bit about the current state of Bitcoin and what I believe in the short term is a make or break trend line that's going to determine whether or not we go all the way down to $30,000 to $35,000 or that we start to trend up higher here. Again, we're not here to absolutely make a call on what's going to happen. I will share my candid opinion on what I think is going to happen. But again, we're going to mainly be focusing on the technical analysis here so you can make your own decisions as time progresses. And outside of that as well, we've got a sponsored review of the Energy Protocol later on. We're going to be talking about Energy's new stablecoin, their new NFT market that's coming down the pipeline, and the new NFT collection that's coming out as well as Energy's focus on security. So we've got lots of things to discuss later on in the video. Let's go ahead and dive straight into it, guys. All right, so as many of you know, if you've been watching the channel over the past couple of days and weeks, we've had this general kind of, again, as we always do, this kind of general ideal trend line of how things might play out as we had the correction back here in the first couple of days of December, right? We haven't been modifying this. We've generally talking about this idea that we're going to be chopping around here throughout the month of December after the correction, trying to see if we can set up a higher foundation, but more likely, as we've had a similar top range here in the sense of price, we're expecting that we're going to be seeing a breakdown down towards the $30,000, $35,000 range, right? I'm not here to pick an absolute bottom, an absolute number that we're gonna hit, right? It's not about waiting for that, but it's a matter of waiting to see if we can find a better opportunity to average into our positions. And this is a big thing I really wanna emphasize as we do talk about this trend line and we do the technical analysis. A lot of you guys, as always, are interested to hear what other people out there in the market are thinking about doing, what they're changing in their positions. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm not selling everything if this trend line is broken and rebuying back in at a discount. What I'd rather do is play it safe and understand that I could be very wrong on it and that I've got my exposure. And I think the crypto is gonna outpace any other asset class over the next year or two. But rather, if we get that pullback, I'd like to take additional fiat or money I have on hand and buy the dip, right? Now, not all of us are in that position where we can buy into the market, right? But my key thesis is one of two things. If you do have money in this case and you think it's a fair discount, which I'll be honest, at the 30, 35K range, I would love that. I'd love to buy into some of my favorite altcoins, love to buy into Bitcoin, right? At the same time, if that's the case that you don't have money, then the second case is just to sit by, enjoy the ride, don't get caught up in the volatility and chop, and especially don't try to go out and leverage trade and try to sell all your positions if the trend line is broken and then buy back in, right? These are the kind of mistakes that people get into. They overtrade, they get chopped up in the market. The market makers, the advanced traders, the algos, they will knock you out and they will leave you with less money than you had before. It's guaranteed statistically that the vast majority of people are going to get knocked out. I don't want you guys to be in that camp. I want you guys to be on the side of smart money and the long-term investors. Now, I do want to talk about this idea that we could get a really nice discount opportunity if we're looking to average into the market. And this has to do with the trend line here. It's a short-term trend line from here in August of 2021 to January of 2022, a couple months here where we've been having generally, if you exclude maybe the exacerbated levels of the wick here on the candle from back here on December 4th, we've been having a nice general base of higher lows. Now, I gotta be honest with you all, even though we're not setting in higher highs anymore, which is generally what you wanna see in a positive trend, at the same time, we have generally still held that low, right? I think most people who do technical analysis would show you after multiple trading days of retesting this range, we've got a rising level of support, and that's great. But to be honest, as we had our first major bounce off here, not setting in a higher low, again, like in the sense of getting away from the trend line here, right? We're back generally on the same range here. That's really not a good sign. And that's why I'm feeling incredibly confident, even though we had this drawing back a couple weeks ago, that we're gonna probably play out here in the next day or two or next couple days where we break below this trend line on a failed means to be able to make support, right? And that's going to probably lead us, as we don't really have much reason not to at this point, to come down here towards this lower band range and consolidate for a little while, right? I do believe it's going to be a bit quicker than what we saw back here in the range from May to July in the sense of the recovery. And that's right, we have a little bit of a higher rebound here. But again, don't take my drawings as gospel by any means. My biggest point is to remain conservative on estimations of time when we could see a rebound back in price and really kick off the next wave of the cycle here, which I know we're all looking forward to, right? Now, as we emphasized again, this is a period where altcoin dominance has been remaining relatively strong. It's pricing up towards its May highs, and altcoins could really start to suck in some of this valuation. So one thing that you could do, again, depending on whether or not you have any impact from short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains, if you're in the US, I'd recommend being a bit more passive on your investing. But if you can just willy-nilly trade from one position to another and you have favorable tax laws, it might be good to consider rotating into some altcoin positions. That's the one thing I'd be willing to possibly change, but I'm already allocated to altcoins. So I'm in what I believe is the proper seat here in this case, right? Considering what we've been seeing. Pull up real quick here on the chart. So we can see here, right, we're still pressing up towards this range here right under 60%. This is not what we should be seeing if we're in a bear market or if things are just absolutely terrible and the crypto sell-off. What I think we're seeing is a cyclical rotation of value. And one of the biggest things that I think is important to understand, right? If we just take a look back here at May, for example, or we look even over the longer term time frame, we can find many examples where we go down to the low end of the fear and greed index. And a lot of people will tell you right away, they'll go, oh, we're on the low end of the fear and greed index, it's time to buy, right? Well, many times the fear and greed index can lag on sideways for a long period of time, just like it did back here between May to July. Right? So again, we're going to expect that this is going to go sideways for a little bit longer. And you can see here, if you take a look at the max chart, right, there are much longer periods of time than the range we've seen right here. And a lot of these fake breakouts here, like we saw in June of 2021, right? We can see here back in the past that usually take a lot longer than most people interpret. Right? It's not some simple game where the market dips and the buyers come back in. It's not like 2017. These are taking much longer periods of time. And this is the big thing I want to kind of close on here in regards to the conversation around Bitcoin, right? You know, if we take a look at this weekly chart here, this is the 2-week chart here for Bitcoin. Right, so we're taking a look all the way back here from the highs of December 2017, the lows of the May correction going into July. And we can take a look at the past couple of weeks here in the sense of Bitcoin's price. I gotta be honest with you guys, in the long-term trend, it's optimistic. We're building high foundational support, right? An ascending range of support with a previous range of resistance back here in December, right? With the consistent lows here and here, right? On the long term, this is setting up that springing foundation where we can really start to leapfrog in valuation here for Bitcoin, right? Where market cap can start to set in those higher lows and really start to trend higher going into 2022. To reach a price target of $150,000, $200,000 Bitcoin, giving Bitcoin a multi-trillion-dollar valuation. It's totally doable in 2022. But in order to have that kind of spring and move here, I think we got to come down here and really build this foundation of support. We've got to do it. I think we really have to. I mean, you just look at the chart here. There's not much confidence in it right now. Like this is, for example, this candle here, you can see the wick is so thin. It's already faded down most of the rally gains here that everyone was so excited about. And it looks like it might even flip red, as we're going in here towards the next couple of days. So again, even though we're taking a look at the 2-week chart and you can find different perspectives and stuff, I think it's becoming highly likely that we're going to see this. The thing that I cannot stand, and I can't emphasize enough, guys, is that there is continuously a wave of hopium in the market, that things are right around the corner, right? And the unfortunate thing is this stuff gets shared all the time on Twitter. So I saw this thing the other day, and maybe I'm sorry if I'm maybe getting too caught up on it and stuff, but there's a new data science model coming out, a new iteration of the stock to flow model known as the stock to FOMO model, which is now showing that as Bitcoin's, generally speaking, has been having a declining rate of growth over time. We're somehow going to enter into the later stages in the 2022s, in 2023 and 2024, right? These later, the 2020s decade, we're going to see some kind of exponential rally where each Bitcoin is worth exponentially higher amounts. And I gotta say, I'm gonna call out for what it is, guys. I'm sorry. You gotta learn to ignore this bullshit. There's so much noise and crap out there, and I think it's just as misinformative and cruel to do something like this than it is to go out and tell people to leverage trade, to put out really heightened projections after we're already seeing that the really optimistic models like the stock to flow out there that are aiming to try to project where price is going to go over the long run, right? We're now setting even more exponential highs. And I understand people will say, oh, what about hyperinflation, Nick? Like the devaluing of the dollar, the central bank losing control. Yeah, look, I'm completely with you there. I understand that there are definitely a variety of economies across the world that are going through forms of hyperinflation, and the US is not immune to it. But I got to be completely candid with you all. These kind of projections are way too optimistic, all right? We've seen heightened inflation, some of the highest levels since 1970, and Bitcoin is pushing sideways. It takes time to reflect inflation, as we've talked about here on the channel. But again, these kind of levels that people are projecting, that it's imminent, that the super cycle is inbound. The only thing that looks like it's imminent for a super cycle is altcoin dominance. Altcoin dominance is strong. It's pressing higher lows. It's at consistent resistance. It looks like it's ready to pop. And if we look at any institutional interest right now, they're really favoring Ethereum right now with all of the market dynamics and changes to its supply. So we need to understand where the capital is flowing, because that's the only reason an asset's price is going to go up, is if more people want to buy it than people want to sell it. And with a lot of holders locking into the ETH2 staking contract, people starting to use ETH for DeFi use cases, utilizing for NFTs, everything you can imagine under the sun. And a lot of that ETH being burnt through EIP 1559, plus ETH2 staking in the next coming months, all right, probably in Q2, Q3 of 2022, you're talking about the first ever real deflationary crypto asset. And that's why we can see here the foundation for altcoin dominance to continue springing higher. All right, so I've rambled on enough here. I hope I wasn't too strong felt on some of my arguments. But another thing I want to talk about here as we dive into today's sponsored energy is one of the big caveats of Ethereum and other major layer 1 protocols out there. I got to be fair, this is something that I really agree with. This is the founder of Energy, Tommy Wald Power, and he's been putting in a big emphasis on building a secure layer 1 protocol. Now, one of the big things here that I constantly see all the time, and I wish we would address more frequently, right? It's a big reason why we like Energy, we like protocols like Radix. There's a lot of interesting players out there, but the focus on security and hacks with protocols. What's really nice about the Energy network and the Energy community as a whole is that they have the Energy defense team. There's a lot of different resources like this within the Energy ecosystem where, because of the security as well as the kind of guidance and leadership of the Energy team and their ability to fight crime on the chain, they've been able to pretty much keep out any type of criminal activities or hackers even looking at the Energy blockchain. And that's a really, really cool kind of situation to be in, where users can feel safe knowing that when they're engaging in swaps, when they're doing deposits, when they're doing all kinds of activities, or minting new NFTs and trading NFTs, that they have an ability to be able to make those means right in this case, to actually investigate in those situations. Now, this is something that, again, as we go through a variety of tweets here, Tommy has put out on Twitter very candidly here the millions of dollars just in the past month in December that have been lost from exchanges, that have been lost from DeFi protocols on not just Ethereum, but on Phantom and a whole range of different networks here. So this is a big focus of Energy here. And I again emphasize that if you guys are someone who, for example, is wanting to try DeFi and give it a go, and you're really worried about the security parameters of the crypto space and the fact that, if you lose your money on a network like Ethereum or on Phantom or some other kind of layer 1 or layer 2 protocol, and there seems to be no repercussions, Energy is one of those chains that will have your back, and they'll do their best to try to protect you in this case as a user. And I think that that's really good because, to be honest, in the long term, I think that we're going to get to a state where Energy as a protocol, like any other protocol, won't be able to maintain full-on decentralization and provide such degrees of security. But like all these layer 1s out there in the market, we are early stage. This is new, exciting software out there in the market and stuff. So to have this ability to secure individuals' funds and help people is really important. Now, before we dive into these big updates here, again, I know a lot of you have asked a big question. I get a lot of people telegramming me this, leaving comments when we talk about Energy, and you ask, Nick, like, how do I actually participate in using Energy Swap and some of these really cool applications, some of which we'll talk about today? if you guys haven't already, and again, I'm not recommending you guys go out and buy it, right? All I'm saying here is that if you're interested in buying energy and getting exposure to the layer 1 protocol or using its different DeFi apps, you can buy it through KuCoin, or you can buy Wrapped Energy through Uniswap V2, right? There's a couple other exchanges here, but those are really the two of the major places that I can recommend. KuCoin's a stable exchange. Uniswap, of course, is a decentralized DeFi protocol. Love Uniswap, right? And if you're interested in learning more about energy before really diving in and making your first purchase, or basically going out and engaging in the DeFi ecosystem of energy, there's a huge Discord community, over 43,000 people that you can connect with. And I'm going to leave a link down below in the description, because I really do believe that's the best place you can go to. After agreeing to the terms and rules, you can dive in and really start to communicate with a variety of other members in the community. So check out the link down below in the description if you guys want to participate in the Discord. Now, let's go ahead and dive into some of the big updates here for energy, right? Outside of all the defense mechanisms energy has to keep the network secure, there's some big fundamental updates on the network. Energy, for example, has just recently launched Energy Dollar, or USDE. So this is very similar. For those of you who may not know what Energy USD might be, you might be familiar with stablecoins like DAI on the Ethereum network that are backed by a collateralization ratio of the core native asset Ethereum or other types of tokens. Well, in this case, Energy Dollar is backed by Energy, or the native token of the Energy network. So this functions in a very similar way here, to have a decentralized dollar you can utilize for liquidity, you can utilize for payments, you can utilize for anything within the Energy ecosystem on a very cheap, low-fee network like Energy. And this is really cool because, especially with the focus on Energy Swap, this allows for even more liquidity on the Energy Swap network. Because of the addition of Energy Dollar, or USDE, they've been able to add in at least around $1 to $2 million of new liquidity to the DEX. So you can now see, for example, the actual liquidity all transparently here. There's the logo for the Energy Dollar here. And we can see here that, again, this has helped to bolster the liquidity of energy trading pairs, right? Now, again, just to kind of take a step back here, right, as we've gone to the holidays, we can see that the numbers have declined a little bit. But over the long term, Energy's been seeing continuous growth here on volume on its key DEX here, Energy Swap. Not to mention as well, liquidity as well, is holding up very nicely. And you've got all of your major layer 1, layer 2 protocols, your ERC20 tokens like SAND, right, for the metaverse space. There's all types of different plays you can invest in, and the liquidity is so good to where if you're someone who, for example, is getting eaten up by $40, $50, $100 network fees, sometimes up to $200 during heightened peak hours, Energy Swap is probably the best bet for you, because slippage is not even a concern if you're trading a couple $100, $1,000, $2,000 versus the network fees that you're going to pay trading on Ethereum. So again, I really recommend, if you guys haven't given Energy Swap a spin, definitely check it out. There's some really great Medium articles that kind of dive into it. But the big thing I want to talk about today, which is the big announcement for Energy, is the NFT progression that the ecosystem's been making. So Tommy and the team have been working incredibly hard on not only deploying their first wave of NFTs, but outside of that as well, launching their own NFT platform, similar to OpenOcean. Or OpenSea, my apologies, OpenOcean. Similar to OpenSea, which is the largest NFT protocol in the Ethereum ecosystem, right? So we can see this is the first major drop they're doing. This is the Dragon Lords collection here. Now, there's been some hints at this, we talked about on the channel before, of these new Dragon NFTs. And I gotta say, to be honest, guys, I really like this kind of stuff, because there's a lot of NFT drops that just, to me, aren't really detailed, aren't really creative. The dragon one here is very, very cool. You can see in some of these different designs, there's different types of dragons with different types of scaling and design to them. I think it's really, really neat. And it's nice to see Energy coming out strong, launching into the NFT space. But it's not just one thing to launch NFTs. You need a place to be able to see these and to be able to actually have an open marketplace for it, right? And all the while, I'm still relatively new to NFTs here. It makes me very excited to see here that, in this case, Energy is not just focusing on DeFi. It's becoming a full suite ecosystem for everyday users to interact in the same kind of applications they traditionally did on Ethereum for practically no cost. It's accessible and ready for practically everyone to use due to its high nature of scaling. And you can see here that there's, again, kind of like a demo of what the Energy NFTs website might look like. You've got these different designs and NFTs that people can make. You can also, you'll be able to, with this platform, make your own NFTs. So this, again, opens up the ecosystem. It's not just the Energy NFTs here. And we can see some different screens here of like what it might look under an individual's profile. So this would be the Energy World NFT profile. You can also see as well looking at a specific NFT. And I think the last one here is also if you wanted to add funds to your balance and see different types of NFTs on the market that you're tracking or watching. So there's really, really cool stuff going on here, but they've also got another drop, and I'm excited to share with you guys here today because my understanding is that this is an exclusive, kind of exposure to the next NFT drop coming up. And I'm gonna tell you guys how you can participate as well in these NFT drops. Right, not only is there the NFT marketplace, but there's also the next drop, which is the Way of the Samurai. And I think this is, again, really, really cool. It's really like archetypal stuff, like really going back in time with the dragons and the samurai. So these really cool 3D renders that have different types of samurai outfits with the Energy logo. And I just think, again, this is like a really fresh start to taking on the NFT market. So if you guys are interested in participating in this, you guys are welcome to check out the Discord link down below. I think it's the best place to go to get started in participating in this, possibly be a part of the drops. Again, for me, NFTs are an entirely new space. I've kept up with it over the past couple of months and learned more and more about it. But again, I really like seeing these kind of creative kickoffs into the NFT space that are aimed at, just like how Energy did originally with the Earn Drop campaign, getting people's foot in the door, making it accessible for people to utilize these technologies, and making sure that when they engage in NFTs or DeFi or any other kind of dApp that you might deploy on Energy, seeing as it's EVM compatible, right? It can do anything that Ethereum can do. The really nice thing is that it's a secure environment. I think it's a great place to get started if you're new in crypto or if you're a time-tested veteran. It doesn't really matter. Security always paves the way forward as a protocol for the long run. So anyways, guys, I digress. It's something that's close to home to me. All these updates are really, really exciting. And I want to give hats off to Tommy and the team for the continuous progress they're making. But I've rambled on enough here today, guys. I hope you're having a fantastic one wherever you are. And some of you may not know this already, but a lot of you are already subscribed to the Data Dash channel. But it turns out that only about 20% of you out there have hit the bell icon. And unfortunately, YouTube doesn't notify you for every single video that you may be subscribed to. So if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. Love to have you guys on board, and make sure to smash that bell icon so you don't miss another update here on the Data Dash channel. That's it for today's video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.